Good morning, Kris.
Good morning, Kate. How are you?
Very well. I gather you've had a very busy long weekend because you've got 5 kids.
Yes, it was been pretty busy, but there was no sport, so it was fun without any
Ah,
sport and running around and spending heaps of money on petrol.
very, very good.
Yes,
I'm always impressed that you get anything together with 5 kids because I've only got 2 of them and they're grown up.
yes, yeah.
Mm,
Gets a
I
bit
hear that.
challenging sometimes.
Yeah, I'd just like to pay my respects before we start. I'm down here on Yuin country, and I'd like to just acknowledge the elders, past and present, and say that I give huge respect to whatever happened to me last night because I went to bed feeling quite. I've got so much to do, and I was visited by a lot of elders last night,
Ah,
and
that's good.
woke up feeling absolutely fine. That all is going to
Well,
be
that's good.
well.
They'll
Mm.
look after you if you look after them.
And I hope that what we're doing here today also assists in getting the word out about how important it is to connect to country and culture and community. So, Kris, I'd love you to introduce yourself and where you're from.
Yeah, my name's Kris Cook. I'm from Ballina, a Nyungbul man from the Bundjalung Nation. My heritage is, or my grandfather, he's from Cabbage Tree Island, which, as you probably know, has been devastated by the floods. He was born there in 1930, I think. And my grandmother, she's from Bellbrook down in Kempsey, and she was born down in Kempsey, Bellbrook area, and lived there for a long time, and moved up here with my grandfather way back in 40 something, and she stayed here until she passed away about 8 years ago. Um, I have 5 kids. I own my own business. I've got 2 businesses, uh, and we'll chat about that a bit later. But yeah, that's me.
Mm. That's great. And, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. You've been pretty local, your whole heritage then, really.
Yes, pretty local.
Yeah,
You can't,
great.
I don't really venture far from country, or home, as we call it.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm. So we're super delighted to have you moving onto the platform, and we know that you've had a really busy time with 5 kids and
yes, and
and
floods and
changing,
everything else. Yes,
plus everything else, floods. I mean, like the floods alone. Wow, what a period you've been through.
yeah, it took over my
And
life for about 10 weeks. Sorry.
uh, yeah, I think yours and everybody else up your way,
Yes,
right? Um,
yes,
I want to say first of all that it's Men's Health Week, and here we are
mm,
on the second day of Men's Health Week, and I've got the huge privilege of interviewing people like yourself who are men,
mm,
and who want to have a little bit of a chat about what it is to be walking on country in a healthy fashion,
yes,
and feeling that we're bringing about a new era of wellness and connection to
yes,
serve
for
us all.
sure.
Yeah, so I'm super excited, first of all, to have you here, and secondly, to have you on the platform because what Kris, and Eli, your brother, do is connect people to country,
Mm,
and I'd just love for the viewers who aren't with us or who might be with us to just talk about what connecting to country actually is to you.
to me, it's
Mm.
been a lifelong journey. As a kid, we, as you know, we just had a brief conversation before this about technology. It didn't exist in our world.
Mm.
I'm only 39, so it's been a massive the 20 years the last 20 years has been pretty crazy with technology. But before that, as you know, there was no such thing as internet, and there was, but a very slow moving beast. But when we were kids, we always was out bush, always with elders, uncles, aunties, doing things on country and learning on the way. Um, the way you learn is just doing and being, and then obviously when you get older, you start making those linkages to connection through
Mm.
stories and stuff like that. So, and my grandfather, he taught us how to fish, beach worm, get pippies, what time to get pippies.
Mm.
It's sort of you can't really go at a height at a certain time of day because of this, and you got all these varying factors of um of what country tells you.
Mm.
So growing up with Pop, being his little shadow for about I think it was about 15 years. I was his shadow, so I
What a
learned a lot off
privilege.
him. Yeah, it was good fun, and
Mm,
Pop was a lot more mobile back then.
mm,
So we've done a lot of crabbing, spear crabbing. So we do spear crabbing still to this day. Obviously use lines, and
mm,
we used to venture out and do a bit of long line netting.
mm,
Or just on the side, so you didn't do it too many times, as it is pretty illegal. But
mm.
it's a food resource, not a commodity.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
when we did that, we fed the whole mob, not just our family, but the whole
Mm,
entire
mm,
community.
mm,
Yes, elders and stuff like that. So uh, growing up, you listen to stories like Nan. She was very spiritual, and you
mm,
listen to the old stories and the old ways, what they used to do, and the old people, and Pop would go and connect that with us when we go out and do our activities.
mm,
Um, so I think it's my brother calls it non-linear learning. So
mm,
you so you're taken to places not knowing what it is,
mm,
but over time you start connecting the stories and you ask the question. So
mm,
our elders or our old people would wait till you ask that question. Then
mm,
that's when your learning starts. Yeah,
mm.
because they wait for you to be ready.
Wow, that's such a different concept of learning than force feeding a whole lot of facts
Mm,
to a kid in school,
yeah,
isn't it? When
yeah,
they might not necessarily be ready and they're not therefore going to retain the stuff.
that's exactly right. So part of my role is to start educating in that sort of context of learning and try
Mm,
and work out
mm,
how the Western way of learning and our way of learning is how do we integrate it to make it even? Because
mm,
as you know, Department of Education and stuff like that, they don't really allow much to do that. So
mm, mm.
so
Yeah.
I'm slowly getting there and going to preschools and getting them active and
Mm,
listen just hearing sounds of language and stuff like that. So
mm.
yeah. So straight off this, I'm going to a preschool to teach. So yes, so it's good fun.
That's such valuable work, like it's just about starting when you're young, like you did, the younger the
Yeah,
better. Truly, really.
exactly,
Do
exactly.
you? I'm sure you're familiar with. I don't probably need to introduce it, but Tyson Yunkaporta's beautiful pedagogy that he's using. Do you know
Ah,
his
okay.
stuff?
I've
Yeah.
I haven't really, but yeah,
Mm.
it'd be good to get a link to have a look at it.
Sure, I'll
Yeah.
definitely send you that through because he's been making huge inroads into bringing a different way of learning into the early learning of
Yes.
kids.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm interested to know how many of your kids are boys, how many are girls?
I
Which is
got 3 boys and 2 girls.
hmm, right,
Yeah,
and it's Men's Health
varying in
Week, so
age. Yes.
yeah, and we're in a very interesting age in terms of bringing up boys and girls. I know
Yes.
traditionally it was
Yep.
very clear how you brought up a boy and very clear how you brought up a girl.
Yeah, it's a lot
So
different now.
how do you marry that with everything else that's going on in that conversation across the nation?
I actually don't know. We just live it and just try and combat it as it comes. You can't really
Mm,
plan things, and I try to, but I've found out, planning to an extent and then just letting it go. If
mm,
it happens, it happens.
mm,
Like obviously you got a schedule and stuff like that, and try and keep to it. But um, yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's
mm,
hard in this day and age because a lot more people are staying home and working.
mhm,
That lockdown was it last year? Yeah, I
mm.
think it was. We had no
And the year
schools.
before.
Yeah, so it was very challenging on us as parents.
Mm,
Um, one being wife being pregnant at the time. I lost a
mm,
lot of work, uh, and the kids were home trying to do their schoolwork. But I'm not a teacher, and it was really hard to find
mm,
that ground to get them to start learning it from home.
mm,
Um,
mm,
Post that, it was hard getting back to school on a
mm,
regular basis because they were just normal. They were just home. It was pretty bad. There was no
mm.
sport. There was nothing. There was just it was a very challenging time for parents and well for me especially. Sorry, and I reckon there was a lot more parents out there that felt the same.
You weren't alone, I don't think.
Mm,
There's a whole lot of cultures that are mixing and matching in this country, aren't
mm,
there, at the moment? And a
mm,
whole lot of voices within our culture about what it is to be a man
Yes.
which is what we're looking at this week.
Yes.
And, it happened quite normally and naturally when you were at the knees of your pop for 15 years. I'm sure that you
Yes.
took a lot from him. And for our viewers, I'll be sharing once again at the end, putting into the Facebook a beautiful article by your brother, Eli, about gentle
Yes. He's a
men.
very good writer. I can't write. I can talk, but I can't write. No, I'm good.
Well, you need to cover
I
both
can't even
bases.
spell. That's how bad it is. I can't even spell English, but I can spell Bunjalung pretty good.
That's awesome. And so I think we'll share that article again because it really talks about, what it is to be a man in his eyes and a
Mm.
functional man in this community. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it takes
Yeah.
a lot, I think.
It does. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of work around your morals, all those sorts of things, outside and inside.
Mm,
And respect is earned, not given. That's one of the best things I've ever come across in the last few years of in the community. You get to a point in your life. They reckon 50. You're an elder. Um, I don't really believe in that. Like in
mm,
my eyes, I'm an elder now
mm,
because I've got all these, what I'm doing and stuff like that. But when I'm 60 or 70, if I make it that long, I hope to have a lot more language speakers doing their thing in our country to keep on educating. So
mm,
that's one of my main goals, and yeah, yeah, respect is earned, not given. It's what you do.
mm. I love that,
Yeah.
I think it was always true that
Mm.
you didn't have a choice, I guess, in
No,
traditional culture because survival wasn't easy. Like
no,
living on the land wasn't easy, and
no. You had to
yeah,
be very manageable of what you did and how you moved and what
mm,
your energy went running. All those sorts of things. Your family.
mhm,
Like a lot of our old people did have large families.
mm,
Could have possibly three wives if you're good enough. So
mm.
you can. So you're looking at 25, 30 kids,
Exhausting.
but you probably have 15 boys. So you're right. They can go out and do the hunting, and you
Mm.
just kick back. Nah, I'm joking.
Yeah. I don't think, like if you look at the old pictures of traditional men, there wasn't a lot of kicking back and big bellies
No,
back then.
nope. They were fit, young, or fitting in their prime. Yeah, they were ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that accountability of earning your respect, you had to do it from country. Country
Yes.
paid you respect, and your
Yeah.
family paid you respect, and your culture, and further afield. So I feel like these days it's been confusing, for want of a better word, the whole colonial part of our
Mm,
history in this country, and you can hide. You can hide from
you
yourself
can
in this
hide.
culture.
You can hide
Mm,
very well. So they say 18, you're an adult. No, you're not. You're not an adult till you're 30.
mm, mm,
Trust me, I was a bit of a rat bag until I was about 30 something. So yeah, it's one of those
mm,
things that through your stages of puberty and stuff like that, and what you can hold within your brain is, yeah, I
mm.
reckon about 30, 35. That's when you're an adult, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a complex culture and, until you get to grips with it right now, I think you're probably right. I
Mm,
personally say the same about being 30. I say that nobody should be in the health professions until they're 30 because
mm,
you haven't grown up properly. You haven't had the life experience you need to hold your
yes,
own ground and not be
exactly.
wobbly.
Some
Yeah.
can, some can't. So there's a lot of good
Mm.
young people out there that can do that,
Mm.
but there's a lot that can't. There's a lot more that can't. So
Yeah, yeah. That's not the topic of our
no,
conversation, the thoughts about health
no.
workers, but I feel like even if they can, it's at cost, like
Mm,
it's a tough world and people are going through a lot of grief and a lot of confusion and trauma. And so
yes,
when you're under 30, you shouldn't have to hold that. It's
no.
a lot of holding.
It's a lot of
But
holding.
anyway, so do you feel like there's a lot of holding as a man in our culture?
In regards to
In
the history or
family,
family,
in our current culture, do you feel
oh,
like
current. Oh,
yeah,
look, look. I think a lot of our adults, a lot of males, got to live in both worlds.
mm,
There's a lot of health issues within our communities, which which are pretty upsetting.
mhm,
lot of our young men are missed through education and through all those things. They just trickle through the cracks, and that come out the other side. They got nothing in the end. A lot of our young men never make to year 12. It's usually year 10, and then that's it. So they go and get on the new start and all those things. And football's a big thing in our communities, rugby league. So a lot of our young blokes do play rugby league, but it's not a career pathway really, in honesty. But trying to make that and live, because I live that. I thought I was going to be the best footy player going,
And
but
were you?
in reality, no. In reality, I was crap. so
Oh,
yeah, so it was one of those things. You realise, well, okay, what am I going to do now? I'd done my knee, I had to go and recreate myself, I suppose, and start looking at a career path. So a lot of our young men do get missed in that sort of form. And it's hard for families because they don't have the skills to maintain some of that either. So it's getting behind the parents to make sure they're right to support their kids. So that's where it's hard.
It's a tragedy, actually.
Yeah.
It's really sad because the thing that keeps any of us healthy and strong has got to be a sense of purpose. Like, why else would you be
Yes.
healthy and strong?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that sense of purpose, then it's really tricky to instill as life goes on.
It is. It is.
I
So
think you found yours, like.
it's taken me a while, but yeah. But I went on, as you do as a young man, you do your thing, but you always come back, But a lot of our kids don't have that comeback. They get stuck. So
yeah. Well, I hope that the work you're doing brings some of those people through.
That's where we're trying to get into the schools and help with those kids, because a sense of identity, who they are and where they belong. Yeah.
Well, like country talks to you, country brings you back, and you're taking people out to country in a way that's very real because that's where you grew.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what your work is and bringing people out to country.
So the business, it's called Yidabul Galima, which is meaning making of a good spirit. So we take out. I do various things with preschools, which is you just do language in preschools and sounds and animals and all those sorts of fun things and artifacts and all those cool things, and get them dancing and moving and like animals, like the animals, like a guraman or a burubi or a ngama or whatever. And from there, the older ages, we take them out on country and we talk about country and why this rock's here, or why we sit at this vantage point, we call viewpoints, and look at something from a distance, and you tell the story of why you sit at a distance, because you got to prepare yourself to go on country. You just can't go and just do things, because you can do some silly things and make things happen. So you got to prepare yourself and the people that you're taking to get them thinking, well, we're going to this place today, and then next week we're going to go that place, which is another viewpoint, and then we take them around and all that sort of thing. So it's all connected with stories. So and places.
And it's beautiful, and it's a relationship, and you don't run headlong into a relationship without asking the right permissions and hearing the right stories.
Yeah. Exactly. So so I always look for an eagle when I'm going out in country, and more often than not, I see one. And if I don't, I start yelling out and telling them that I'm here.
Interesting. Yeah. Yep, there's been a beautiful eagle with us yesterday. I've got a very sick little dog at the moment, and that eagle came really low. It was very beautiful.
Yep. Yes. So eagles do have a good and a bad omen, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I am interested to know, with your taking people out onto country and the work that you're doing in school, are you working primarily with your mob, or are you working with people who aren't?
With everyone that's willing to listen and have fun all that sort of stuff. So it's about education, getting these young kids to understand that there is another language in this country, especially up here. And we do have words to say for eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes, all those sorts of things. So just getting a different language. There was a one kid last week. He was looking at me real funny, like he goes, "No, it means head. No, we say bald." And he goes, "Nah, he wouldn't have it." So I had to change that. The next week he was saying it, so he understood that this is
Oh,
a different language. So
awesome.
it was only like 3 and
Yeah, but you
4,
drop
yeah.
that
So,
stone in the pond when they're 3 and 4, and it keeps
yeah, so
growing.
they just,
Yep,
what are you
yep,
saying to me? Yeah.
yep. Up,
So
up.
so it's fun, and you
We
make it fun for the kids too, so because they've only got a short attention span of about, I worked out 12 minutes. So you got to nail them for the first 12 minutes, and then you sort of do some activities, so you're not.
Talking of which, so
Yes.
it's been beautiful having a chat with you, and I just want to invite all the people that are listening in. You and I are going to work hard to get you up on SoulAdvisor.
Yes. Yeah. I'm so sorry about that. Yes, I've
Oh,
been,
don't
as
be sorry. It's been a
busy.
really, really
I will get it happening.
not just for you, it's been a very rocky time for most people. And so I think what we'll do now is just let me find out where we need to be, and let's really get that to happen this week. And then you guys out there will see that look up Kris Cook, and you'll see him appear on SoulAdvisor. And there's a little patch there that says Discovery Call, which means that you can phone Kris and have a yarn about what he does and see whether that's something that you want to pursue with Kris. That's a 15-minute phone call max. And
It's a long time.
yeah, and see how you go. So then the other thing that Kris and I have talked about is how for those people who aren't in South Ballina, how do we create an online connect to country, which clearly is not a really good connect to country, but it's the start of the principle. And I think I hear what you're saying when you go to a viewpoint and look down and make that relationship to country before you walk on country. The same kind of thing that I'm envisaging there, that, introducing the concept of being on country before you go and walk with Kris and Eli on country would be an amazing thing to do. So let's see if you and I are clever enough to get this to happen this week. And then
Thursday looking good.
Thursday, okay, awesome. Thursday it is. You and I are going to book that in. So we'll end the broadcast now. Say thanks to all our viewers for listening, and a huge thank Kris for your incredible words of wisdom and filling out the story a little bit more for those of us that are new arrivals. And so thanks very much, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah.
Right.